Well, hi there. Happy New Year. It's 2025. We got a couple of announcements for you. The first one is Brandon Heath is coming to Goodwill Church as part of the Gospel Truth Tour, March 2nd at 6 p.m. Tickets at goodwillchurch.org.
Yeah, I may be a believer, that doesn't mean I don't mess up. Cause his heart's in my witness, but he's still filling my cup. For him, I wish I could be better, but he says that I'm enough. It's done, and there's nothing I can do. And that's the gospel truth. Thank God, thank God, thank God. That's the gospel truth. Thank God, thank God, thank God.
It's time. It's arrived. We've been talking about it. It's the 90-day tithing challenge taking place from January 12th through April 12th across all our locations, a church-wide program. So Mike, what is tithing? What is this all about?
Tithing is the 10% that the Bible talks about.
Yeah.
We don't really think about it too often. We don't really talk about it too often. But when it comes to tithing, it's 10% of our income. It's a hard thing for us to focus on.
It is. Malachi 3 is clear. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse. You can read about it all through the scriptures,
Right.
and Old and New Testament.
And those of us who think, oh, I'm tithing, this isn't going to be that hard of a challenge. And then you look at it and realize, ooh, maybe I'm not. So this challenge is going to be exciting. It's going to just open your heart up to what God wants us to do with the money that is given to the church. And we're excited about this.
That's the thing, heart. I mean, that's why we should tithe. That's what it's about. It's about the heart, our heart towards God. It's a faith thing, really. It's not really about finances. It's
No,
about faith.
not at
It's
all.
about what we believe concerning God and what He's going to do.
And you mentioned it. This isn't a fundraiser.
Right.
This is not a fundraiser for the church. This is strictly us coming together to learn of what God's promise is to us by what we do with this tithe.
Just like in the Old Testament, it's us being the church.
Right.
Like this is how we be the church. Each of us tithe. And that's what we want to see happen at Goodwill Church more and more. We know it's a blessing. It's been a blessing in our lives.
Absolutely.
We could tell you stories, each of us, and we know lots of other people too. And
Hear them all the time.
So this is the chance to experiment. And if you've never tried it before. All right, how do we get involved?
Well, we've created a webpage, goodwillchurch.org/tithe, where you can go in and read more about the 90-day tithing challenge, and you fill out a form accepting to be part of this 90-day challenge. You have to go in and say, I'm going to be part of this. It's going to be exciting, and you're going to see a drop-down menu of where you fall into that category. And the challenge, again, is from January 12th to April 12th.
So here's a few options on how to be a part of this. First option is to start tithing.
Right.
You haven't done it before, and you're gonna try it.
Right. So
You're
you're going
gonna
to figure out what your 10% is. You're going to look at your gross. A lot of people look at their finances and go, well, this is what my take home is. And that's great, except that's not what you're making, right? So you have your pay, and then you take out for taxes and medical and all that stuff. So when you put it all together, you get 10%, and that's how you start it.
And this is not about feeling bad if you can't do that.
No, not at all.
Or feeling pressure or less than in some way.
No,
And so that's another way you can take part in it is do what you can.
Right.
Increase.
If you're
take a
unable-
step towards it.
Right. If you're unable to get to that 10%,
Yeah.
this by no means is pointing you out. It's a matter of, okay, what can I do?
Right.
Because eventually I like to get to that 10%, but I can't do it now. So what does that mean? Well, maybe a small increase. Maybe a little bit. It's like, I think we can pull that sacrifice off.
It's a heart thing too.
It is.
That's what's important. And if you're already tithing, well, it's about your heart still. Spend the next 90 days praying about your heart towards your tithing and your generosity.
Is your tithing just an automatic thing that you're doing without thinking about why you're doing it and what God has done in your life because of it?
It's an act of worship. So when we sing a worship song, we don't want just sing it and not feel it.
Right.
The whole point is get your heart in there. Worship God with all your heart. Same thing with tithing.
Yep.
So apparently other churches have tried this before.
Yep.
And so we've learned from them. And they've offered 100% rebate or refund if somebody decides they weren't blessed by it.
Correct.
Is that true?
Well, we look at it this way. The church has to put kind of their money where their mouth is. And so if during this 90 days, if you haven't felt God's presence, if it hasn't blessed you in some way, then at the end of this 90 days, you just give me a call and let me know that
Yeah.
It just didn't feel it, and I will give you a 100% refund.
It really is about the heart. This is not a fundraising program. This is a discipleship initiative. I mean, this is something we do because we're believers in Jesus Christ. So we go to goodwillchurch.org/tithe.
Correct?
Is that correct?
That's correct. And you go there and you'll see a form to fill out for you to sign up and take this challenge. You'll be amazed at what it's going to do for you.
And we're hoping to have huge participation. So that's our prayer.
Yes.
So the tithing challenge is a challenge to talk about because we want to make sure that you know that we are so grateful for your generosity and your support of your church over the years. And it has been amazing. Of course, it's been amazing because you can't have a church like Goodwill Church without amazing support from people like you. Thank you, and God bless you. You heard us talking about the treasure principle when Mike and I were talking about the tithing challenge. Well, the treasure principle is a Bible study that Mike and Pastor Jose are going to be teaching in Montgomery Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m., January 8th to February 26th. There's also going to be great Bible studies in Beacon at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays or Port Jervis at 6:30. That treasure principle Bible study is a great part of our character focus this first quarter of 2025. It ties right in to the tithing challenge, so we're hoping to see a lot of people come out. And that's it for this week's announcements. Enjoy the worship service, and again, Happy New Year.